It's surreal. It's really just surreal being here and seeing this happen. You know, it's a mixed sense of deja vu and, you know, just the fact that it's dawning on me that, you know, he's launching a pro career, you know, and it's just amazing. I knew he had it in him, but it's just totally amazing seeing him do it.
I believe that to be great in the sport of bodybuilding at the professional level, at the world-class level, it almost becomes a controlled obsession. I know that in the time that I was competing, before the Mr. Olympia, it was all I could think about. I was like a missile honing in on a target, and that's all I could think about was competing in the Mr. Olympia. And I think that it takes that kind of drive, that kind of controlled obsession in order to push yourself to the extremes that are necessary to be competitive or to even win the Mr. Olympia. It's one of those things where you have to get up every morning and, to put it in my son's words, win the day. Because every day is a tough day. You know, you're working out harder than most human beings ever experience, and you're eating less, so you're almost on a near starvation diet at times. And you know, you still have to manage to pull yourself together, you know, and just mentally push yourself through these workouts. You know, sometimes when you feel like you're just running on fumes, and it's just your spirit that's pushing your body through.
Yep, change of scenery. Just, I don't know. You know, towards the end of prep, getting like weird moods and want to be on certain pieces, and then you know, I like the cardio room they have here and stuff, so I don't know, I just get in my little grooves and kind of groove with this place, been riding with it. So that in the posing room is really good here too, and the lighting works for my albino ass, so it's actually nice to be able to keep track of the progress shots from there. So
today we're gonna back off on the volume a little bit. So we are going to do the same exercises that we've been doing and progressing on, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take the back off sets out of 2 exercises. So essentially I'm going to take 2 working sets out, completely out of the workout today. So that way he at least gets the same numbers on those main lifts. So lower the volume by taking out 2 working sets today is the plan so far. I mean, it kind of is an outline, but that's what the idea is going into it.
you know, there's a lot of other sports out there that get a lot more attention, obviously. You know, bodybuilding is such a niche sport, but you know, it's the only sport in the world that even at like the amateur level, to be successful at the amateur level even, you have to be committed to it around the clock. What I'm getting at is, you know, like a lot of sports, you know, you go and you practice for your 2 hours and you know, you leave and you're done with it as an amateur. You know, if you're doing something, even as a professional, you know, like granted it's a lot more time intensive, but it's still one of those things you're not doing all day long. You know, bodybuilding, it's an all day long thing. If you're not training in the gym, you're eating. If you're not eating, you're shopping for the food. If you're not shopping for the food, you're cooking the food. And if you're not doing any of that, you're working, because you have to have some kind of income to support your hobby or, you know, your profession, if it's your profession. So bodybuilding to me, it's a lifestyle. You know, it transcends, you know, like someone that, like, oh, I enjoy lifting weights or I enjoy training. Okay, cool. That's a hobby of yours, though. You're not a bodybuilder. You know, a bodybuilder is someone that has made an active decision and makes choices on the daily to reach a goal. And, you know, that goal is, you know, an improved physique, whether it be bigger, smaller, you know, leaner, stronger, whatever it may be. You know, everyone's got their own goal, but whenever you have that goal and you're working towards it daily and you are making the decisions, you know, that sets you up to be successful, you know, that's when you're a bodybuilder to me. You're not just a weightlifter. You're not just lifting weights for fun. I mean, yeah, simply put, the Olympia is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding. You know, it's the biggest show in the world. It's the best in the world. There's been 15 men since the contest has started that have won the title of Mr. Olympia, and I mean that's the Olympia in a nutshell. I mean, I can expound on it and say, you know, it's turned into the biggest weekend in our sport. It's, you know, become something huge. So it's the pinnacle. You know, it's what everyone who wants to do this for a living, you know, gets into it wanting to do. You know, they want to get into it to be successful on the Olympia stage. So that's the Olympia stage to me. Days out, 3 weeks from today is prejudging. So yeah, it's about as serious as it gets right now. You know, today's session's pretty indicative of what's going on. You know, the compounds are all staying in, still really fighting to keep the numbers up. We're just reducing the volume by way of, you know, reducing the number of back off sets and reducing the number of intensity techniques, i.e., no rest pauses and minimal drop sets and stuff. So big shout out to my dude over at Crown Custom Belts. He's made this one and probably 3 or 4 other ones for me over the last like 3 or 4 months, and this one's become my favorite. I've hit every PR of this prep and this belt, so just wanted to say shout out to him. He doesn't sponsor me, you know, he takes care of me, and I love the belt, so I just wanted to give him a shout out. I really appreciate you, man. like I said to the house before we came here, energy is pretty non-existent, running on well wishes and dreams at this point.
As you should be.
Yeah.
Because you're going to Mr.Olympia.
Yeah, so at least it's a good dream. Yeah, it's plenty of fuel. But yeah, so just gonna keep on checking the boxes. You know what my thing is? It's win the day. We've won every day this prep. I'm gonna keep on doing it, and yeah, looking forward to finishing strong and seeing everyone in Orlando and showing off, you know, just how much we were able to do since Tampa. I think it's gonna be pretty impressive to a lot of people, just how much we changed in that short of a time. So.
I remember stepping on the stage in 1987 for my first Mr. Olympia, and I was 27 years old. And the first thought that came through my mind was that I was stepping on holy ground. This was the stage that Larry Scott stepped on, that Sergio Oliva stepped on, that Arnold Schwarzenegger stepped on, that all of the greats throughout bodybuilding history, all of my predecessors, that they had stepped on this stage to compete for honors, to see who the best bodybuilder in the world is. When Joe Weider developed the Mr. Olympia contest in 1965, the idea was to lay the ground for a competition that would be the best of all competitions, where all of the Mr. Universes, Mr. Worlds, Mr. Internationals from every corner of the globe could come in and compete together to see who the best bodybuilder in the world was. That's what the Mr. Olympia is to me. It is different than any other bodybuilding competition in the world, and it's almost a spiritual experience for those who give it its proper respect, its proper due. It becomes more than a physical conquest.
Obviously, I've been very fortunate from the standpoint that I've been at pretty much every Olympia and Arnold since I've been like probably about 12 years old, honestly. And you know, at 12 I wasn't sure I wanted to bodybuild, but you know, by like 14, 15 I was pretty like in my head. I was like, all right, I want to get done playing football and then I want to bodybuild. But you know, like when it's 14, 15 and watching these people on stage, or you know, even fast forward to when I was like 19 years old, because 19 was the first Olympia and Arnold that I went to after quitting football, and you know, it's like I want to bodybuild and I want to do it professionally and I want to do it at the highest level. And when I went and saw it that year, I was like, oh boy, we got our work cut out for us. And so that was at 19. And you know, every year that went by, I'm not gonna say from 19, but you know, like from the time that I started competing, I would say, which was at 25, until now, or 24 until now, which I'm 28. You know, every year that's gone by, it's been a lot more, you know, okay, I can stand here. You know, like I remember going and seeing, you know, not an Arnold or an Olympia show, but, you know, like a smaller pro show after I won Junior Nats in 2018, or Junior USA's in 2018. And I remember going, okay, well, you know, I could have placed like, you know, 4th or 5th at this show. And, you know, that was a good confidence booster. And then, you know, went and, you know, did nationals in November and, you know, obviously won. And then, you know, the next year, you know, recovering from my surgeries, you know, the more and more that I saw and the more that I saw myself progressing after I got back in the gym, the more and more I believed it. You know, truthfully, I'd say the last year, you know, it was before Tampa, but, you know, like the last year I've really started to believe that, you know, we continue down the path that we're on and, you know, stay safe and continue progressing the way we are, that I do have the potential to be Mr. Olympia, and I do believe that with every bone in my body now.
Yesterday was a big day. It's back day. We train arms, kind of so we don't have a rest day. So it's not a super taxing day. It's really more, you know, arms and rear delts, all the kind of stuff that we miss on the other days. So today's gonna be pretty typical about how it is all year. For some reason, people think it's hardcore to say they don't like training arms, but you know, their limbs, they're important. So, you know, and it's fun. It's fun to sometimes. It's the only day in the entire training cycle that we're able to talk to each other because we're not just totally gassed or focused on progressing on the numbers, and you know, it's kind of more of a fun day.
Asked me 2 or 3 years ago, I would have said, yeah, I want to be Mr. Olympia, just like every other bodybuilder will tell you. But you know, there was no conviction to it, no belief to it. You know, at this point, I do believe it. I am convinced of it. I do believe if I keep my head down and work, that I will make it happen eventually. So. You know, motivation's really fun coming off of, you know, like a win or a this or a that. But, you know, something that I think really helped me out was from the time that I said I wanted to bodybuild until the time that I was competing, like in my first show, was it was like over 5 years. So I spent 5 years just literally training myself into the ground, eating 6 meals a day, you know, doing all of the nitty-gritty shit without any of the reward for a very long time. You know, the only reward I got was, you know, seeing my physique progress. And, you know, I think that set me up really well because it made me fall in love with that. That's what I love about bodybuilding is, you know, training, progressing, and, you know, really, you know, adding tissue and, you know, yeah, competing's great and everything. It's a chance to show off the work, but it's not like what I truly love about bodybuilding.
Yeah. If we do any kind of drop set, rest pause set, back off set, it's always after the top set. So we always work up to the top set, trying to tax ourselves the least possible, like acclimate to the weight without doing too much. And then once we get to that top set, you know, what follows that is how we dictate the volume.
But you know, so like I discipline over motivation. So I kind of touched on like when it started, but you know, it's one of those things that you have to find. I feel like to be successful at anything, because you know, motivation's fleeting, obviously, and you know, it's like, I don't know. In the case of, you know, what I do specifically, you can only watch so many like YouTube videos before you go train. You can only take so much pre-workout, and you can only, you know, you have the sickest playlist ever, and you know, this, that, and another. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, if they get you going, cool. But you know, you have to have a way to just get it done. And you know, I feel like that kind of separates, you know, the good from the great. No, I don't feel like it kind of does. It does separate the good from the great, you know. There's a difference between someone who's like doing the bare minimum and then the guy who's won, you know, 4 Mr. Olympias, but the first thing he does when he gets off the plane is goes and does his cardio a la, you know, Jay Cutler. You know, there's different levels to it. There's different levels to the discipline it takes to be good. And, you know, anyone that's been great at this sport has been, you know, like psychopathically disciplined, in my opinion. So.
Bodybuilding may be the most addicting sport in the world. For those of you that are bodybuilders, for those of you that are physique athletes, you understand exactly what I'm talking about, because it is one of the sports in which you get the gratification of seeing yourself change, and that feedback gives you the motivation and the desire to do more of it. So it becomes a virtuous cycle, you know, where you put a ½ inch on an arm and you want another ½ inch on an arm, and you push yourself to see if you can do it. And when you do it and you meet your goal, it's a gratification that is just amazing, and it motivates you to want to do it again and again and again. On that back shot that we do when we come to the back like this, you know, when we turn to the back, you're going to want to pop that hamstring just at that same angle, because it really brings it out.